Happy Sunday, everybody. I hope everyone is having a fantastic start to the summer. We are just wrapping up June here, with this upcoming week being a very short week. We have July 3rd, this Thursday being a half day in the market, and then completely off for July 4th for 4th of July celebrations. So, very short week, so likely be very careful, maybe lower volume, and we'll see how the rest of July and the rest of summer goes. And just checking on it, honestly, I thought I was up 60% for the month, which was fantastic. But upon actually checking, I'm up exactly 108% month to date. So just subtract like 2 days for May. And the main goal, obviously, is to try to keep the majority of these profits in the account instead of giving it away and right back into the market. And of course, these type of results is not going to be something you'll see every single month, and just the focus is risk management and continue to stay humble. The other thing I wanted to share with you guys is had a fantastic time in Miami. I am so honored I was able to be a part of a live mastermind with the Options Cartel Discord group. I was able to meet so many cool people there in person finally, and it was just so nice to put a face to the names that I chat with daily. So if you're not in the Options Cartel, there'll be a link below. Make sure you join it, and that's why you'll be able to trade with me as well as Sean. And the other good news is that I actually just got a new car. It is a Porsche 911 992.1 Carrera S, and this was a long time coming. I have been wanting this car for a while now, finally found the exact fit in terms of the spec, and decided to pull the trigger on it. So just really cool. It's an Aventurine green and has the spider wheels, which is literally the exact thing I wanted. So I was so happy when I saw it at my local Porsche dealership. Other than that, let's jump right into it. We're going to be looking at first the market, because we were a little bit bearish last week, but things have completely flipped, and we're going to look at a few names that I would like to get into for this upcoming week. Let us first look at SPY and the Qs. We have made officially all-time highs, so congrats to everybody. And honestly, it's so exciting and so cool to see this happen, and we're just able to trade and take advantage of the opportunities that were given to us on this run up. So they're really cool that we've made new all-time highs here. And honestly, what was really cool is if you go down to the daily time frame on SPY here, you'll see that, and what actually happened was it was just a wedge slash flag break, and this confirmation is from this most recent Monday price action, where we had this huge bounce off the 21 EMA to confirm that breakout. The obviously, in hindsight, news to kind of analyze is that even though Friday was so bearish in terms of the candle that it printed, we actually never broke down this low here. And so that's really big, because, and what I mean by actually breaking this down is we didn't have a candle close under this level. And so this shows you that the trend is likely still going to continue up. The other thing is this: even though Friday was the highest volume ever, you have to remember it was OPEX, but also quad witching. So just inherently because of that, volume is just going to be way higher. So it's always going to be an outlier and something that you can't really put too much weight into. But rather, I always like to look at the very next week's type of price action to really gauge what's actually going to happen. And by doing this, you'll see that we got this wedge pop, a gap up, and then we just continue to grind up and break all-time highs. And so from here, you must be wondering, where do we go from here, right? Because we can't just continue going up. And that's exactly right. So the biggest thing I want to look for is to see some type of very low volume pullback eventually in this next 1 or 2 weeks to retest this breakout level to then eventually push back up. So the reason why I'm not saying all the way back down to 607 is because all-time highs was technically the 609 area. So let's just call that 610 to be even. So I would want to see a pretty nice healthy pullback with little volume, or at least not aggressive selling, down to the 610 level, build a nice little base, and then eventually break out to test higher for new highs. The reason why I think this run is not done yet is because even though SPY and the Qs are breaking out and actually showing new highs here, look at the Mag 7. Okay, so we're going to go through some of them here. Apple is clearly a little bit weak here. It's just sideways, so not really going anywhere. But look at Meta. We are just about to break all-time highs here. Look at Amazon. We are still a ways away from all-time highs, but we're starting to just break out. And then let's look at Google, just starting to break out as well. So the thing is this. So the thing is this, the Mag 7 is the most heavily weighted in these ETFs. So I've always been a big believer in the fact that for this move to be sustained, the Mag 7 needs to follow suit. It can't just be the other names in the ETF that are propping up the move because they're just so heavily weighted that when they start catching up, that's when the heavy aggressive moves on the ETF will actually start to happen. And it's likely we're going to start to see this as an earnings run up into July, as you'll see that earnings is late July for a lot of these Mag 7 companies. And so these next 2 weeks are a perfect kind of playground for the Mag 7 to play catch up, as it'll be a nice little earnings run up, especially when we are starting to get some more clarity on the global conflicts as well as tariffs and inflation. So lots of good things coming here. I am a firm believer that this move up is likely not done quite yet. And then for further confirmation, let's take a look at Bitcoin. So I know the last time we looked at this, we were looking at it on this candle here, and it was starting to look really bad. But look at the candle close. We didn't close under this low. Again, very similar to SPY, where it did look bad, but we didn't have an actual daily close under that key level. So same thing you see here, right? The reason why this is a key level right here is because this is a higher low that has printed. If this was not a higher low, we likely would have seen daily closes under this level for us to continue down more. And you'll likely that comes with more aggressive selling pressure. But because we didn't, this shows you that this used to be resistance and it's now newfound support, which is really good because it shows you that this trend is not done. And what we are seeing now with the weekly candle has actually closed now is a very healthy bounce back to the near highs here. And we're actually flagging really well here, right up against the highs. So for Bitcoin specifically, I want to see a really nice push past this 112,000 area with the target still as PT1 at around 118,000. And then honestly, if we are able to make this kind of insane run up where it's just a lockout rally in crypto, I would not be surprised if we test this 138 level at the 1.618 or even honestly 160. And as you know, if that happens on Bitcoin, crazy things will happen for altcoins. So get ready. If this does happen, make sure you are in some good altcoins to catch that aggressive momentum. First name I'd like to look at is Honeywell. This is on the weekly time frame. We're seeing some really nice consolidation with two inside candles here within this range, and we're just letting the EMAs catch up. And this is confirmed as we see volume actually increase as price is starting to go up here. So this tells you that buying pressure is likely starting to accelerate. The other thing is we're riding up really close to this 230 level as resistance. Now this is close to all-time highs, and the reason why I drew this resistance, this horizontal resistance line, is because we haven't seen an actual candle close above this level. And so that tells you like these wicks are kind of just price discovery where we had heavy rejection or sell-offs from buyers likely taking profit. So the biggest thing to look out for on this name is we want to see an actual close, a candle close above this 231 level. That's what will really give you that confirmation that this breakout is likely going to have legs and continuation. The contract I'm looking at is the August 15th 230 calls. Now I know the ADR is 1.3%, and the contracts don't have that much IV as well. So if anything, this could be a name that's taken with comments. But other than that, I wanted this one to be the first one just simply because it's not that volatile of a name, but definitely one that technical-wise looks really good. The second is going to be Amazon. I know we just talked about the Max 7s, but this is going to be probably the focus for the next 2 weeks, in my opinion. So on Friday, we just had a bullish hammer close, which is very, very bullish. I actually did enter this contract already, the August 15th 230 calls. I got in about 15 minutes before market close, which is just absolutely nuts because we just had such crazy buy volume to close it out. And I think it was just probably end of month rebalancing for a lot of institutionals. But other than that, the biggest reason for this entry was because we gap filled and we bounced really aggressively in the hourly time frame. So that kind of shows you this 217 level, which is where Amazon actually struggled to break past for so many times. It actually finally broke and it was defended from the sellers here. And so that's the biggest reason for taking that entry there. But I don't think it's too late for an entry, especially since this upcoming week is going to be a half week. If we can see some type of healthy low pullback towards the base of this open candle print, so just around 220, see that consolidate a little bit and then eventually bounce up. I think this contract is totally fine as a fresh entry or even adding into this contract for a full size or even doubling down. The first PT is going to be around 228. That's going to be off of this weekly candle right here, and it's going to be close to 230, but remember, you don't want to get too close to, you don't want to set your TP to exactly 230 because the bid and ask is what makes that number show up as that 230, right? So PT is likely going to be the low 228s here as the first target. And then honestly, because we're starting to see momentum kind of push back into the max 7s, I want PT2 to be close to around this 242 level. Obviously going to take some partials off that 233, 235 area, and then we're going to target that 240 mental number. The next name is going to be Google, and I will, full disclosure, I also entered this on Friday about 15 minutes before market close, but I promise you I'm not trying to bag you. The setup still looks really good. So I would actually argue that Google is kind of lagging behind Amazon. So even though we had a really nice weekly candle close here, this is actually the full first candle close above this range, right? So we struggled to break past this 176, 177 level, especially on this candle here, and then this one here, but we finally actually got that close above it. But when you look at Amazon, we're actually pushing way past the initial range that Amazon was kind of struggling with. So I would argue that Google has some catch up to play. But nonetheless, I'm still very interested in this. The contract that I got into and I am very happy and content with adding into is going to be the August 15th 185s. What I would love to see is very similar situation with Amazon is likely pullback to this breakout area where it was really struggling. So this 176.77 level. I don't want to see a full pullback to the lows on Friday just because that's likely not going to be giving me too much conviction this breakout will hold. I want to see this newfound level be new support, right? I want to see buyers step in, create a higher low for us to eventually push back again towards this 180 level. And so with that in mind, the first PT is likely going to be just around the wick of this candle here on the weekly time frame at around 182. And then the thing is this, I know it seems really far away, right? So measuring just from Friday's close all the way up to around this 192 level, that's about a 7.78% move. But here's the thing, there's a really nice gap here that you could easily play. So even if we don't get that within the next 2 weeks, it's something you should definitely keep in mind just for the future. That's something you can definitely take advantage of and buy calls on. So this gap is about a 5% move. It's going to be around from 192 all the way up to that 202 level. So these are big targets for Google. I think it's something that can easily hit. Maybe it might take an earnings run up to actually get this to happen, or maybe even earnings to be that catalyst to push up towards that level. Whatever it may be, I definitely want to keep this on the watch list to take advantage of. The next name is going to be Shopify. So very similar setup to Google in the sense that we're having a lot of consolidation weeks, and then we finally got a full candle close above the resistance level that this name has been struggling with. So it's going to be this 1112 level. And the reason why I have another line of horizontal resistance drawn out here is because this 115 level is showing to be pretty heavy too. So we had this rejection here, and we had this rejection here, and we couldn't close above it here as well. So the biggest thing is that I want to see probably a daily close above this level and probably even take out this high at around 117 to really be convinced of this move. It was very bullish for this candle here to get sold off so aggressively, but then get bought back right back up. So a lot of support and buying pressure shows you that this 112 level is holding up as newfound support. If we're able to break this level, this above 115 level, I'm looking at the August 15th 120 calls. And in terms of targets, I'm going to be honest with you, it's pretty thin up here, and I would love to see us test 120 and then eventually 125. Obviously, this 120 level, if we use volume, the volume nodes is going to be the first pit stop, but then I would love to see a 125 tap. And to wrap it up, the last name is going to be ORCL. I'm looking at the August 15 220 calls. This was previous all-time highs at around 197, but then we had earnings, really good reaction, and now what we are seeing is not an aggressive pullback where people are taking profit. What we're seeing is actually buyers and sellers are agreeing that Oracle should be traded at this now newfound higher price. And if we go down to the weekly time frame, what we're seeing is a really nice flag developing here. The biggest level to watch out for is a break above this 216.5 level. We want to see a daily close above this to get that confirmation of this continuation move. That's it for this week. Thanks for reviewing my watch list with me. I will catch you guys on the next one.